This video is sponsored by
Elma Premier Cleaning Service.
Hello, my name is Helena Kofi and I have two kids, a girl who passed away and then a boy, a 1-year-old boy. Yes, I'm a full-time mom and then I own a small baking business. We got married in November. In December, I was lying down and I realized I was feeling something in my stomach. They felt like rocks. And I told him that, I feel something in my stomach, like they're feeling like rocks. Like, what can it be? He was like, we wouldn't know. So we should just go to the hospital. So when we got to the hospital, we later found out that I had fibroids. I was quite shocked because, if you know me, whenever I have something is going on in my body, I go to the hospital. I'm always visiting the gynecologist. So I didn't know why this thing eluded me. I didn't know how I must have missed this thing. So then we went to see another doctor. Then he confirmed that it was indeed fibroids. He told me the number of fibroids that I had. They were quite big, and that he wouldn't advise that we go into surgery right now. And since we were newlyweds, he wanted us to try having babies. Then later on, we could think about surgery. So my husband and I said fine. So we booked surgery for July. He gave us 6 months to try and have babies. So if by 6 months we didn't, there was nothing happening, then he would say maybe I'm not having babies because the fibroids are preventing me from having babies. So then we booked me for July. I was ready to have surgery. But then in March, I realized I missed my period. Then for the first time, I bought a pregnancy test kit. I was so excited. I'm like, finally, I'm going to pee on the stick. So I peed on the stick and it was 2 lines. And then I went straight to my doctor's office. And then he said hallelujah. And then we started my pregnancy journey. So my grandfather died unfortunately around May. So we went to go and bury him. When we came back, I realized I saw that my left thigh, like the texture of it was more like an orange. The holes that you see on an orange, I had those same holes on my thigh. I was like, is this thing normal? But then I didn't really make anything out of it, and my feet were hurting. I was like, this pregnancy thing there, why is mine, some way? I'll go on Google. They'll say, oh, it's fine. And I'm like, okay, if it's fine, then it's fine. I'm fine. So in June, after the funeral, I got some days off from work. So when I went back to work, that day I couldn't walk. I went to work on a Thursday. That day I couldn't walk. I was dragging one feet. Before when we got back from the funeral, my cousin realized that one of my legs was swollen. The left leg was swollen, but the right leg was normal. Then he asked me, is it normal for one feet to be swollen and then another feet to be normal? And I was like, all pregnant women get swollen feet. So, mine is like that. I was like, He kept on saying it for like 3 days. And I was like, it's nothing. I think it's fine. It's just that my feet are swollen. I'm pregnant. My feet are swollen. So it's fine. So when I resumed, I got back to work on Thursday. I was walking, dragging one feet. I was dragging the left leg. I was moving the right leg normally. I was just dragging my feet. Some of my co-workers were like, why are you dragging your feet? I'm like, Minaya. I was like, is it normal? I was like, yeah, it's normal. I've Googled it. It's fine. So I went home, and then around 3 a.m. Friday morning, I woke my husband up. I'm like, babe, my leg is hurting. It's piercing my heart. My leg is really hurting. I don't know. I'm about to die. Something is happening to me. My husband got up. I wore something And then he put me in the car. We went. So when we went to the hospital. You know, the hospital I normally go to OPD, but then I didn't know there was an emergency section. So when we got to the hospital, immediately I went to OPD. When I got to the OPD at 3 a.m., there was nobody there. So I sat there and waited because I was of the notion that when I get to OPD, there'll be somebody to help me. But then I was at OPD, nobody was coming. I'm like, this thing, it can't go on, babe. I can't walk. I'm in pain. So we used to live, that time we were living somewhere else. We were living around Spintex. So I told him that we should go back home and maybe get the nearest hospital there and then see if they can help me. So immediately we got to the hospital. The nurses put me down and gave me some painkiller. Like, the painkiller was so good. Immediately they administered it, the pain was gone. So it made me sleep. So I slept. When I woke up, it was around 8 a.m. They put me down. They gave me some drips. They put the thing. I told them about the swollen feet. They saw it. They were like, okay. They didn't look alarmed. They didn't look puzzled. They were like, okay. So they gave me the painkillers. The painkillers were like, that was what I was waiting for. I wanted painkillers. They said, we're going to take a Doppler scan. I'm like, what is a Doppler scan? I didn't know what it was. So when we got there, once I heard scan, I'm like, oh, they're going to scan the baby and see the baby, maybe another part of the baby. When I went there, the doctor lifted my leg, and that is where she was doing the scan. She applied the lubricant they normally apply on your stomach. They applied it on my leg. She was scanning my leg. At this time, I'm scared. I'm like, what is this? Like, who scans the leg? They were scanning the leg. I'm like, God. She moved from my thighs. Then she went down to my knee, my shin, like my feet. She scanned the whole leg. And then she came back to the right, which was fine. Then she scanned everything. Then she wrote this very long report. Then with pictures. When we got to the hospital, back to the place, then the hospital, the doctor was like, this thing is beyond him. This thing is beyond this hospital. They can't do anything about it. So they wrote a report to me saying I should go to a teaching hospital, one of them. And then the closest to me was 37. So I'd been there from 3 a.m. to 6 p.m. At this time, I'm scared. Like, at this time, I don't know what is going on. I was very scared. And then my husband just, he was like positive. He was, men, they can be so, like, they are feeling pain, but they can't really show it because, so we went there and then they showed us the emergency. I'm like, so this is where we should have come in the morning. And then we left because we didn't know what was going on. We left and went to that place. So immediately we got there, the doctors put me on the bed. And then he said, we should go and get her constriction stockings. They call them TED stockings. So then, first thing they did, they asked me who my doctor was. So I told them who my doctor was. And then they said, okay, lie on the bed. Then they told my husband to go and get me, they wrote a prescription, go and get a constriction stockings or something. I call them TED. The company is TED. So it's TED stockings. So the doctor came. Like, she placed it, she made me wear it. Like, they were so tight because the feet was swollen. But this doctor, she was sweating when she was doing it. Normally nurses even do it, but then when she was like, no, let me do this. So she helped me put them on both legs, and then I was there. They were observing me. They gave me some painkillers. Did this thing. They were like, now they started throwing this word around, DVT. And so my husband came and was like, what is DVT? Like, what is DVT? What's going on? He was like, they call it a deep vein thrombosis. DVT means deep vein thrombosis. That means, babe, you have clots in your leg. I'm like, what kind of clots? Like, what kind of clots? They are saying blood clots. I'm like, are you serious? I was like, that is what the report is saying. I was like, no, I can't believe it. And I was like, have you called my doctor? I was telling them, have they called my doctor? Have they called my doctor? And I was like, my doctor had traveled, so they'll get other senior doctors come check me out. So they gave me medicine and I slept. So in the morning, that time my mother had traveled. So when she heard I was in the hospital, she was in Kumasi, so she took the first bus. By 7 a.m., my mother was in Accra. So when she came, I was sleeping there. I had not even gone to the ward yet. I was still in the emergency room. That's where they made me sleep, so they observed me. Some of the doctors slept by me because they said they didn't know what could happen. So they slept by me in the emergency. One was sleeping in the chair, the other one was sleeping in on the beds in the emergency room. They were with me that day. And then, so when my mom came at around 8 a.m., she was like, how am I feeling? I was telling my mother that, Mommy, I'm scared. Like, I'm scared. She was like, don't be scared. Like, we don't know what's going on, so you shouldn't panic. You shouldn't be alarmed. So then, eventually my doctor came, and then he said, we need to move you to the ward. So around 9 a.m., they moved me to the ward. I was in a wheelchair because I couldn't walk. The emergency was this way, the ward was there. I couldn't walk from there to there, so they put me in a wheelchair and then they wheeled me there. And then they told me to make myself comfortable. So they told my husband to go and get this drug. They call it fragment. It's supposed to prevent more clots from forming, and it's supposed to prevent the clots from moving to another part of the body. I hate it because they said if it moves to the organs within 24 to 48 hours, I'm gone. So then they had to administer fragment, and they said I'll take 15,000 ml. The drug comes in its own injection. So the drug is in there and it has an injection, like a needle at the tip. So you just take the needle out and then you give the medicine. So the medicine is supposed to be given on your thighs, your shoulder, or your stomach. But then the stomach was because I had the fibroids, the stomach was bigger. You know, at 3 months I looked like I was 6 months pregnant. So the stomach was a no. So then I had to take then because the left leg was swollen, the medicine couldn't be administered there. It had to be administered on my right leg or on my shoulders. So they brought the 15,000. Now this drug, you wouldn't get 15,000 like that in one injection. So sometimes if you're lucky, you get 10,000, 5,000. So you have 2 injections. Or sometimes if you are very unlucky, you get 5,000, 3. So, and mind you, the injection, I like injections. I feel like injections are faster than medicine. So me, I take injections like a boss, like, with the injection. But this fragment thing, like the needle cuts into the skin. They call it a subcutaneous or something injection. So it cuts into the skin. And it was painful. The injections were painful. Like from beginning to end, like it's painful. And the first day they gave me the first injection, I shuddered. Like I was like, what is this? What injection is this? I take normal injection, but this one is painful. And the nurse was like, this injection is a different injection. That even when some people are unconscious and you give them the injection, they move. So it was that painful. So then it was June. That was time at 3 months pregnant. So they told me that I was going to be there for a while. So for a while I was thinking tops 1 month I should be okay. And so these injections were going to be done every day till I had the baby. So every day these injections were coming. Like fragment was my friend, and some days you go and you not get it. in the pharmacy, and then my husband would be roaming because I have to take it. I'm not supposed to miss a dose. I was taking this thing, I was taking it, and I was given other med drugs to take, and I was given another injection. They call it a Pronto-Gest, but then this one is an injection form. So then that one was taken once a week. I was taking it on Saturdays. So I was at the hospital, and the fragment was coming every day. It was coming at 6 p.m. every day. I'm psyching myself for fragment. Like when I wake up, the only thing I'm thinking about is let me just have this fragment injection and get this thing over it. It was painful. I don't know how to describe it, but that injection was painful. It was painful and was expensive. So, and I was in the hospital. I was living there, and it wasn't easy. And I was taking these drugs, injections. I know at first I was fine, but it started getting to me. Like, there are days my husband will come and I'll just be crying, and I'm like, I'm tired, like I want to get this done and over with. I'm so tired. I'm tired of the hospital, I'm tired of the drugs, I'm tired of the poking and prodding. I'm tired of the doctors coming over me, surrounding me, using me as a case study. Like, I'm tired. And I had two sets of doctors. The gynecologists were doing their thing, and then the people from medical were doing their thing. So it was a lot for me, and it wasn't easy. I was there, so I was in the normal ward from 3 months through to 6 months. So then after almost 7 months, I was taken to the maternity ward. That place, so I was taking the injections. But before I was taking 15,000 of the fragment. But it got to a time when they administered the injection and there's blood coming at 6 o'clock. I can bleed till like 3 a.m. Like, it will be coming in drops. Like, I'm cleaning blood. I'm not sleeping. Like, I'm cleaning blood, because apart from it stopping clots and not preventing the clots from moving, it makes your blood light. It makes it very light. So it's a blood thinner sort of. And I was taking aspirin too, and that is another blood thinner. So it had thinned my blood. So when I'm there, I'm cleaning blood. Like, the day blood decides to come, I'll be cleaning blood. So I told my doctor that this is what I've been going through. So then he decreased it to 12.5. And then 12.5, some days my husband will get 7.5 and then 5,000. Some days he'll go and get 7.5, 2.5. And I'm like, you got 3 injections. You will take one today. And then I'll be angry. I'll say, I won't take the injection. You come and see him. He'll be pleading with me. I beg, take the injection. I was like, you will take one. This thing is painful. How can you? Why didn't you search? You could have gotten 5,000. Why am I going to take 2.52, 7.51? Why? And then he'll be so, like, he'll be sad. Like, you could see that he was also drained, because the 2.525 wasn't easy for him. He'll be roaming around. I mean, the people the pharmacists knew him. They were like, every time they go, he goes, is your wife okay? He'll be like, she's fine. The doctors knew him, the nurses knew him, and you see pharmacists coming to even visit me. You tell them where I am. Your husband says you are here. I'm like, yeah, I'm here. I was like, okay, are you okay? I'm like, I'm fine. I was like, okay. Then you go. I could get angry at the 3 shots. I needed something, the least thing, I'll pick a fight, because it was very painful. It was very, very painful. So then it got to a time my husband, instead of buying from the pharmacies, he had this friend who was a pharmacist. So he gave him the rep for the medicine. So now the rep was the one looking for the medicine for me. So you'll be there, and then the rep will bring the medicine to me. So that is what we're doing. And then we finally got to maternity ward. At that time, they were calling me class prefect at the main ward. they said because somebody had come there who had spent more time than me, so I can't be school prefect. So they'll give me class prefect, so I can be the class prefect of the ward. So when I went to maternity ward, I was school prefect because nobody had the thing. So they were calling me school prefect, and so I was there. I was fine. I was taking the fragment like a boss. I mean, what will I do? I was taking like that. I was taking my injections. I was taking my medicines. I was fine. And my husband was bringing me books. He bought me a router. He bought me a new computer. Things that will make my stay comfortable. He brought me jigsaw puzzles. I was doing everything. I was reading all the time because he didn't want me to go crazy. And honestly, I was going crazy a bit because there were some days it wasn't easy because it's the hospital. It's not your house. You can't move around as you want. You can't eat what you want. I'll have to wait for my mother. Oh, I feel like eating this. My mother will have to come at visiting time, and by the time he comes for visiting, the craving is gone. I want something else. So it was always a struggle. So when we got to maternity, I was fine. I mean, I could move around. They told me I could move around. At that time, the swell was gone, but whenever I did the Doppler, the clots were still there. They weren't gone. Just that the orange pores was gone. My feet were now the same size, but then the clots were still there. They were there. About that time I'd had like 3 or 4 Dopplers done, and every time I went it was there. So then they had to continue. And before they had told me, oh, I will stay there when I have the baby. I'll stay there for like a month. But then after my second Doppler, it was still there. It was still there. And my doctor was like, the head doctor, he was like, this girl is not moving. She's not moving from this place. Tag her, no baby, no home. Don't give her hopes that she's going to go home after a month or something and she'll come and worry me that I want to go home. If we don't manage the thing, she can go home and she will have an embolism, and by the time they drive her all the way from her house to this place, she'll be dead. We don't want that kind of thing on our hands. We don't want that kind of responsibility on our hands, and it will be our fault. So I was there. No baby, no home. All the doctors knew me. All the nurses knew me. Like, every time they come, hey, Helena, you are still here. I'm like, yeah, I'm still here. I was like, don't worry, you go home soon. I was like, okay. So Helena you are still here was my, that was the greeting. When they say, hey, Helena, you are still here. I'm like, yes, I'm still here. So when I got to maternity, I was fine. And then in October, when I was around 32, going on to 33 weeks, one Monday, my mom came to visit, and I told her that I feel some pain in my stomach. I don't know what it is, but then I'm thinking it's fibroids. Fibroids, I think they say they degenerate or something when they do that. I don't know if it's regenerate or degenerate, one of the words. And that when they do that, it hurts. I mean, I've had it for some time being in the other ward, and they gave me painkillers. When they give you painkillers, it stops. So that was the thing. I was like, this one seems different. It goes and then it comes. It goes, then it comes. And my mother was like, why don't you tell the doctors? I'm like, I'm fine. I don't want to be worrying the doctors. It's like every day, like they're on my case. I'm becoming a nuisance. I think I'm becoming a nuisance. And then my mother was like, okay, I'm leaving. When you feel like there's something else going on, just let the doctors know. I'll be calling you. So in the evening around 9, like the pain wasn't leaving. It was bad. Like the pain was unbearable. So then I walked to my doctor's station. Fortunately for me, it was the doctors my team. In the hospital they have teams. So my team was on duty that day. So when I went there, I told them that there's this pain. I don't understand it. Like, it's been there since morning. And then one of my doctors were like, this pain has been there since morning, Helena, and you haven't called anybody. You have our numbers. You can even, you didn't tell any of the doctors around. I was like, I didn't want to worry you people because I knew today was your day and you'll be busy with surgeries and the rest. So I didn't want to. I think it was on a Tuesday, sorry, not on a Monday. It was a Tuesday. I was like, not like, I didn't want to worry you people. And then they told me to go and lie down. So when I went, I was on the bed and they told one of the nurses to bring a Doppler, the fetal Doppler, the scan, the handheld scan. Then the nurse was like, she's in labor. And I'm like, what? Like, how can I be, why am I in labor right now? And then they were like, this is not the plan. The doctors, they were junior doctors. They were like, this is not the plan. We have like 4 more weeks to go. Like, what is happening? So then, fortunately for me, my doctor was around. And then he came, they gave me this medicine to stop it. So we quickly, a line was set, they hung the thing, they put medicine in the thing, and then the labor pain ceased. Then I slept. My husband came, they told him about it, and then I slept. They were like, I'll be fine. They're not expecting me to go into labor anytime soon because they've administered the drug, so that will keep the baby like in place. You should be fine. And then, so everything was fine. It happened on Tuesday. Wednesday, I was okay. The pain was gone. I was like, okay, we have 4 more weeks to go. We can do this. So Thursday morning, Thursday morning, very early in the morning, 3 a.m., 4 a.m., I woke up. The pain has started. Worse than before. Worse than Monday. I'm like, the pain is back. Then this one, I called my doctor. I texted him. I told him that the pain is back. So when he saw it, he told the other junior ones to come and check up on me. I told him the pain is back. So I called my mom too. So my mom rushed over till the pain is back. Then my mom came, she said, you know what, take a bath. So she gave me a bath, and then still the pain won't stop. I told her I don't want to eat anything. Nothing is going to go down. I don't want to eat anything. Like, I'm in pain. Like, they should do something about it. So eventually my doctor came. He went to do another scan. He was like, Helena, the baby is coming. Today we can't stop it. The baby is coming by hook or crook. We have to send you for CS. You've been strong throughout. Like, you are one of the most bubbly, you are the bubbliest patient I know. You are always laughing, you are smiling, like you've been through difficulty, but you've been strong. Don't come and cry at this time. Don't let the devil try and weave his way and come and destroy what you've worked so hard over the months for. So stop crying. We've seen it early. We are going to have a cesarean. You'll be fine. So at this point, my husband too had been called. He said he was on his way. So then my mother was, mothers, she was frantic. She was all over the place. All the doctors called her grandma anyway, they knew her. And so they were like, grandma should be fine. She was like, okay. So when they took me I was going to the theater, and then my husband came, and then he was like, you'll be fine. I'm at the door. You'll be okay. I was like, okay. So then when we went to the theater, everything was fine. I mean, the doctors made me feel at home. That day, my doctor wasn't the one to be at theater, so he put me in charge. He gave me to one of his colleagues. It was like, he's the best around, so he'll take care of me. So we had the cesarean and everything. It was successful. I didn't know the sex of my baby because every scan we go to, this baby will not show this thing, the sex. Will be hiding, swimming all over. So I didn't know what I was having. So they told me it was a girl, and everybody started saying congratulations. I started crying because like when I saw her, before I wanted a boy. Like, my whole plan was I want a boy. My son must come first, then girls will follow, because I always wanted a big brother. So I was like, I want my children to have a big brother. Yeah, so I wanted a boy. But then when it was a girl, like all thoughts of having a boy, like it went away. Like my daughter was here. She was pretty. Like, oh, I was so happy. Then they took her away. It was 32 weeks. I was like, take her to NICU. Like they are waiting for her. My doctor had already gone there to go and say that the baby is coming. So they had prepared her for NICU. So they finished doing what they were doing. They cleaned me up. Then the doctor was like, Helena, if you want to have a child again, you have to get rid of these fibroids. Like, because the baby was there, they have become bigger. And I was like, okay. So then they closed me up and everything, and they took me back to the ward. And then my husband was like, I've seen her, she's pretty, oh, she looks like me. And then he was like, Helena, thank you. I was like, you're welcome. and like everything was fine. Even the doctors were saying the baby was fine. So I gave birth to her on a Thursday around 12 noon. And then Friday, she was fine, everything. On Friday, I had, normally when you have surgery after a few hours, the nurses in the morning, they'll come and say you should try and get up. And because I had blood clots, like they were really on me because they didn't want me having clots anywhere else. So they told me to stand up. So when I stood up and they gave me a bath and everything, my mom came over. I waited a bit. Then they said, oh, if I'm able to walk, I could go and see the baby. So I went to see her. She was fine. Friday, I was a bit overwhelmed, so I just saw her a bit. So on Saturday, I was fine. Now I could move a bit. So I went to see her. So when I went to see her, she was breathing weird. Like you could see her chest rise and drop. And then the nurse told me that baby is breathing well, but she's not doing well. Her breathing is quite, like, they don't like the way she's breathing. But, I mean, she's here, so we should keep hope alive. We should keep praying. People who are worse than her, people 24 weeks and the rest have survived, so she'll be fine. So, I was there Saturday. I went there around 8. Then the nurse told me that. So, around 10, I decided to go and see her again. So when I got there, then one of the doctors put me aside and was like, Helena, baby is not doing very well. Her heart rate keeps on dropping. We are doing everything. We are putting her on oxygen. We are pushing stuff down her throat. We are, trying to make her breathe well. But it's not encouraging. So you pray, but psych your mind for anything. At that time, then when he said that, I started crying. Then I was crying. So one of my nurses, the nurse I went with a nurse. She was a friend of mine back in school. She was an old schoolmate. So she took me to the ward and was like, she'll be fine. Babies have survived. Like mine will be one of them. Okay, so then I called my husband. I was like, you should hurry up and come and listen to what they are saying. But I don't like what they are saying. Like they are saying baby is not doing well. And I don't know, like he needs to be here. So then my husband was like, okay. So he came. So when he came, he told me he's going straight there. So he was there for a while. But I was tired, so I couldn't, so I waited for him. So when I waited for him, and then he came back. When he came back, and then he said, I was like, babe, what is it? Then he said, she's dead. And I said, sorry. It's like, what do you mean by she's dead? She was like, babe, he's dead. Then I started crying. Then I was like, my baby cannot be dead. I was like, I've been here for 7 months, babe. I can't go back without anything. How can my baby be dead? And I was like, I have marks all over my body, babe. Like black marks on my thighs, my shoulders. Like, I've taken Fragment for 7 months, babe. I've done everything the doctors told me to do. Like, why is my baby dead? And he was like, it doesn't matter. It's fine. It's fine. I was like, it'll be fine. I was like, my mother came. When she came, she saw me crying. I was like, what's going on? She said, I told her that my baby is dead. When when my mother came, my mother was like, Mommy, I didn't know. Then I told her that, Mommy, Banewu. Then my mother was consoling me. She was consoling me. We prayed a bit. So we were fine. So the way I was reacting, like, the doctors became very, like, alarmed. So they gave me something to, to calm me down and rest. So at that time, my doctor wasn't there that day. So the other doctors told him what had happened. It was like, you won't come there today, you come there the following day. So the nurses at the other ward, the main ward where I was before I was moved to maternity, they all had given birth, but some of them had not come and look for me. So when they came over. They had heard that the baby was dead, and then they all came. They were consoling me. They were like, it's fine. Baby, when baby dies, it doesn't matter. So far as I'm alive, it's fine. So they came to console with me, came to talk to me and stuff like that. And then, like, I was frantic, but then they were there. They were, and then the doctors too. They had heard. There was one particular doctor. He didn't know what happened. He had heard I'd given birth, but when he came, he hadn't heard that the baby was dead. So when he came, he was like, Helena, I've heard you have given birth. Then when he looked at me, I was like, why are you crying? And then I told him, doctor, the baby died. Then immediately the doctor, he also started crying. And then he just left. So I told my husband that I want to get out of this place. Like, I've been here for 7 months. If I'm not doing anything here, if I don't have a baby or anything, I just want to leave this place. So then my doctor was like, will observe me a little and then go back on. I'll come leave on Monday. So now I'm there. Baby is dead. I'm there. I'm in the ward. People are coming over to just come and console me. It was very hard for me. It was a trying time for me. And I don't know. Sometimes I blame myself because I think whenever I said I'm tired of here, I want the baby to come, I'm thinking maybe it was my fault that the baby died. And that there was one time I went for a scan, and then I told my doctor that I don't think I like my baby much, because if it wasn't for her, like, I wouldn't be in the hospital 7 months. And then the doctor told me that it's not baby's fault. If not for anything, I think baby is the reason why you survived it, because maybe if she hadn't been there, the clothes could have moved. So let's just say it's baby that is saving your life right now. So you can't hate baby. I was like, okay, then I won't hate baby. So then when I think back, I was like, maybe because of what I said, that's why maybe she felt she wasn't wanted. That's why she decided to go. So, I mean, everything was fine. My doctors, they all came. They prayed with me. They talked to me. Like, the doctors and nurses, like, when people have support systems, they have their mom, they have their husbands and everything. But apart from my mom and my husband, the doctors and the nurses, like, they were my support system. Like, they were there, like, every step of the way, from beginning to end. The doctors were there, the nurses were there. So then, after that, on Monday, I was discharged. It got to a time on Saturday, my sugar dropped. So then I was given this thing, sugar and the rest too, So on Monday, eventually, I was going home. When I sat in the car, then I started crying again. I was like, Mommy, we are going home without a baby. Like, what are we going to tell people? Because everybody saw I was pregnant. And then now I don't have a belly anymore. And then where is the baby to show for it? And then the baby, I tell people that the baby is no more. Like, that would be hard. I was like, my mother was like, it doesn't matter. The most important part is that you are fine. The baby is fine. The baby is gone, but then you are fine. You can have more babies. So when we went home, I was crying. When we got to the house, I was crying. Then my husband was like, we have to stop crying. Like, you can't continue like this. And so little by little, I started becoming okay. I wasn't okay, but I was okay. But then I needed to be strong. You know, Ghanaian mothers, they have this thing: if you are crying over a dead baby, other babies won't come. So that's what they used to tell me, and I wanted other babies to come. So then I stopped crying, but I didn't stop the thinking. So eventually, a year came. So per advice, I had the fibroid myomectomy, so it was successful. Everything was fine. I had a series of tests done. So my doctor was like, now I'm ready to start trying. In December, I noticed that I'd missed my period. That was when we had stopped trying. I noticed I'd missed my period. I was like, I've missed my period. My husband, you know, every month your period is late. You come and tell me that you've missed the period. The following 2 days later, it's here. So don't worry me. I was like, okay, go and just take the test. I was like, okay, I'll take the test. When I took the test, I was excited again. I bought a pregnancy test. So now I'm going to pee on the stick. I was like, it was 2 lines. So when we went there, the doctor was like, yeah. Now we are back. This time around, no mistakes. Baby is not going to die. This time around, double. So doctor was on me. He was a text message away. That was one thing I like about my doctor. He's a text message away. If you text him, he will definitely get back to you. So we were fine. I was vomiting, but this time normal. Now I realized that the first time vomiting was like different from this one. This one was, normal vomiting. I was having fun with it actually. And then 3 months came. My husband came back from work one day, and then blood just came out of me. Immediately I opened the gate for him, then blood just gushed out of me. And I told him that, babe, I've had a miscarriage. I just haven't had a miscarriage. It was like, how? It was like, get in the car. We went in the car. On my way to the hospital, I was crying. I was like, I beg, don't start this thing. Don't cry. It's nothing. So when we got to the hospital, the doctor checked and was like, I don't think you miscarried though. Your cervix is not dilated. I think you are like, it's just blood that is coming. We need to deal with it. But the baby is fine. The baby is intact. It's not a miscarriage. Helena, stop crying. I was excited. If it's blood, it's good. If it's blood and there's no baby, it's good. I'll take this blood any day. So I texted my doctor. That it happened around 10 p.m. I didn't text my doctor because I thought maybe you'd be asleep. I didn't want to disturb him. And so in the morning, when I texted him and told him that I was at the hospital and that this is what happened, he was like, why didn't you text me? I was like, I thought I would worry you. I was like, I have told you. If something is wrong with you, don't mind. I'm a doctor. Anytime, just text me. So I came back the following day. Then he checked me out and then he gave me a few days off work. So I was there. But then the blood won't stop. The blood was coming. Like, it stopped the gushing. Now it was, it was coming. Like, there was blood all the time. I go to the bathroom, I see blood, stuff like that. So then he was getting worried. And then he told me that he doesn't want me to come back and stay in the hospital like I did the first time. But this time around, he's going to let me stay at home. I should promise him that I won't do any physical physical activity. No, I should just, the only thing I can do is go to the bathroom, go and take a bath, go and pee, those things. That he needs me to be in bed rest. And even if we have to do it for 9 months, we will do it. But then I should be on bed rest for now. Maybe if I am on bed rest, it will stop. So then if it stops, then he can let me go back to work. So he gave me this medicine. Again, we started with the medicine. This time around, it was medication, it wasn't injection. I told him that I'm tired, no injection. So then we stopped the injections and he gave me medicine that I would administer at the backside. So I was going to take that one for the entire pregnancy. Yes. And then he put me back on the stockings because he said he didn't want any problem with blood clots. Because fortunately for us, the clots were no longer there. And even I didn't even get scar tissue, to the extent that when I went for my Doppler, the nurse asked me if I was sure I had DVT before. So then we were fine on that part. So I went back on the third stockings. Immediately I wore the third stockings, everybody knew I was pregnant. Because I worked, everybody knows that whenever I'm, like, the first time I was on third stockings, and the second time I went back on the third stockings. So I told them that I have to take some days off from work. My doctor doesn't know if it's going to be throughout the entire pregnancy or just a duration. So my boss was like, I should go home. I should just go home. So I went home. I was at home. The medicine was working. Now that the blood had stopped and everything. So I was home throughout before I was working at the bank. So when this redundancy, this merging and staff acquisitions and the rest came, most of the pregnant women at the workplace were laid off. So when they said it, I had gone back to work, but then in April when we were laid off, I just came back home and then I was still doing my bed rest. So I moved in with my mom. So over there, I didn't do anything. I was just eating and sleeping. Even I wasn't sleeping well, the sleep wasn't coming, but then I was resting because my sister has her business in the house. So she was taking care of me. My nephew too was there. He was at my beck and call. My mother was there. So I was having a fine pregnancy. My pregnancy, the second one was fun because I was at home. I never experienced being pregnant at home, so it was fun. I could eat whatever I wanted to eat because people were there to go and buy it for me. It was a fun pregnancy. My sister was going to get married around that time, so I was going with them. Now my doctor was like, now it was fine for me to move around a bit, so whenever they go, I go with them because I was getting bored at home. So I was moving out, I was doing it, I was fine. So everything was fine. On the 34th week, I started having contractions. It started with my lady parts. They were hurting. It was like something was pushing down on it. It was hurting. And I told my mother that, this thing has started again. It has started again. My mother was like, my friend, get up. Tell your doctor what is going on. Text him. So when it text back, it was like, meet me at the hospital. So when we got there, my doctor also came. He was like, okay, this time around, we will not do what we did last time. We will stop it. I will stop this thing. But I will give you something to make the baby, his lungs and the vital organs. Normally the lungs are the last to mature. So he gave me something, they are steroids. So he gave me the steroids to, mature the lungs. So he told me that I'll take it in a period of 48 hours. My doctor has scheduled me for 37 weeks. That one, he said, 36, 32, I know you. It's possible that you come and tell me that you are in labor. So, we will be managing this thing. So, when we went, he gave me medicine, the steroids. I was supposed to take it for 48 hours. So then, I bought the medicine. I came home. There was a clinic nearby my house. So, I was going there every day to go and take the injection. So I took the full 48 hours. That I remember that day was my husband's birthday. So he took me to the hospital. I was like, this baby, does he want to come today on my birthday? It will be good, but it's not a good thing because it's too early. And we don't want to do, we are afraid of having babies early. Because of what happened the first time. So he gave me the steroids. He said, okay, it's fine. But then the baby wasn't moving. So then I googled it. I was like, when you take this drug, does the baby, does it lower the chances of baby moving? They said yes. Normally the steroids, they slow the baby down. It slows the baby down, so baby doesn't kick as much as he or she is supposed to. Baby becomes very dull. I was like, okay, then it's the medicine. But they were saying after 2 days of taking after 2 days later, baby is supposed to, come back to himself. Like he's supposed to start kicking actively like he was doing before. And my son was an active kicker. Like he will kick and you see his foot. He will kick and you see his hand. Like it was every time my stomach was moving in my dress, he was a kicker. And so I started taking the drugs on Friday, and by Monday I was done. And then Tuesday he wasn't moving well, but he was moving. Wednesday he had started picking up. Thursday he was fine. Friday around 2 a.m. something woke me up. I was like, this baby is not moving. My baby has stopped moving. So I kept it to myself. So around 8 a.m. I called my husband that he should come and pick me up to go to the hospital, and that the baby is not moving. My mother has a shop, so I called my mother as well and told my mother that the baby is not moving. The baby is not moving, and the baby hasn't moved. He just stopped moving around 2 a.m. I didn't want to alarm anybody, but I was thinking maybe by morning he would have started moving. But it's 8 o'clock and this baby hasn't moved since 2 a.m. And so my mother was like, she's coming. So when she came, my husband also came to pick us up. We went to the clinic. My doctor has a small clinic. Normally I go there to do the checkups and the rest. So I texted him that this is what is happening. So by the time he texts back, I was already in the clinic. He was like, I should come to. I was like, I'm here. So immediately he saw that I was here. He referred me to one of his doctors. He was busy with another patient. So I went to one of the doctors, and then the doctor was checking the stomach and everything. And then he said, your baby is fine, but there's no baby around. There's no water around him. He was like, Helena, didn't you feel your water break? I was like, my water hasn't broken. Nothing has come out of me. He was like, there's no water around baby. I was like, how? So he called my doctor and said, there's no water around the baby, but the baby is fine. Then my doctor said, go and bring your things. This evening, I'm taking the baby out. So at that time I was 35 plus 1. I'm taking the baby out. Then I started panicking because I'm like, history is about to repeat itself. I started panicking, and then I went to the hospital. My husband went back home to bring the things because I wasn't expecting that I'll go and then they'll say I'm going. So I didn't even tell him to bring me my stuff. So he brought the bags. He had already told the doctors that this was going to happen, so they were expecting me. So quickly they had them drip. They set a line. I was already had changed into hospital gown. Everything was intact. So the doctor came around 9. So it was a Friday. My husband called. The doctor hasn't still come. Tell him that if it's 12 a.m. and he doesn't take the baby out by 12 a.m., we are postponing it to next week because the baby is born on Friday. Me too, I was born on Friday. So the baby has to come on Friday. I'm like, is that what you are thinking about? I was like, I was here, the baby go. And so my doctor eventually came. He came around 8:45. So they wheeled me in fast. And then the epidural I'm that type. When the anesthetist will be saying we are coming to insert the injection at your bag, blah blah blah. When I got there, I was like, when you're coming to insert that injection, don't tell me, surprise me. I was like, you should surprise me. I was like, yeah, surprise me. So I didn't want to think about, because that thing is painful. So then they administered me at the back. Everything was numb. Then we started. When we started at 9:25, they took baby out. They started doing congratulations. It was a boy. Like, I was very excited. Like, I was so happy. And then they told me that. And then I was like, let's go to NICU. And I heard, let's go to NICU. My heart dropped. I was like, NICU again. I was like, let's go. So they took the baby, and then they finished with me, and then they took me back to my room. So then I gave birth on a Friday. So Saturday, I'm that type, when I have surgeries or something, the following day, I am up. So I went to see the baby. Baby was fine. He was in an incubator. He was on oxygen. He was fine. But then they gave him drugs and everything. It was like, baby's fine. It won't be long. You'll be able to breastfeed him. I was like, if I'll be able to breastfeed him, then it's good news, because then now he's okay. But I come the following day, and baby is under blue light. He has jaundice. But unfortunately for me, all the tests that we ran, the few tests that we had run since we gave birth to him, it was okay. It's just that because there was no water around him, some of the liver count, they call it creatinine and something, liver function and kidney function was a bit, it wasn't that accurate. So they told me to wait. But then breast milk wasn't coming. So then I'll go there to go and breastfeed. This boy will suck, the thing will not come, then he will stop. And there was this thing when I gave birth to him, when he was at NICU, he was always sleeping. When you feed him, he will suck a bit, like he's awake, then he will sleep. So the nurses will come and, be tickling him. They'll be, but this boy will be sleeping. There was one nurse who come and say, hey, you any Ghana now want to be when, and this boy will be sleeping. And I'll see other babies around me, they are, sucking breast, and this boy normally are saying, oh, if the baby sucks, then breast milk will come. But he wasn't helping me, he wasn't sucking because he was too busy sleeping. So then they said then he has to be on formula. So they brought formula. So you have to spoon feed the formula to him. So he will feed a bit, then he will sleep. Then the nurses will be on me. You are not feeding the child. I'm like, it's not me that doesn't want to feed the child. The child is sleeping. So it went on for some time, and then one day they ran another series of tests, and then they said it was fine. So they had to wait for the head doctor, the head pediatrician, to come and see if he's fine. But he was still under the blue light. He had this black thing on his, they will put black shade on his eyes so that he doesn't come. But his eyes were still yellow. So he came, he checked everything. She checked everything. Just like, this baby can go home. And I was like, what? Like, there were other junior doctors, they had come around, to come and do they have this class they take every morning. I was like, this baby can go home. And I was like, are you serious? The baby can go? I'm like, yes. The doctor was like, yes, the baby can go home. I was like, prepare baby to go home. And I was like, hallelujah. And so quickly I called my husband, come and pay bills and everything. We are going home. I want to go home now. And so I called my mom too. I was like, baby is coming home. My mom was like, I am coming. When you are pregnant, you shouldn't say, this thing I'm feeling, it's going to be a burden for the doctor, or I'm being too, I'm being overly, conscious of things that are happening. If you find anything that is amiss, if something small changes, you have to go to the hospital.
This video was brought to you by
Elma Premier Cleaning Service.